individual presentations of the three guests. So after each presentation, there will be a Q&A session. This is where you can intervene or use the chat box. We prefer to use the chat box because we have limited time. We need to stick to 1 hour. And at the end, if there is time, this is to be seen. We will raise some questions to all of you around some topics that potentially could be of interest for the audience to help us to prepare in the future similar events. So that's it for today. I don't know if the team would like to say anything, or we go to the NIFO updates. Okay. On the NIFO updates, please, next slide. So what has been done this year when it comes to monitoring and reporting activities on interoperability? In February, we published a report, Digital Path to Recovery and Resilience in the EU, where we have spotted all the kind of digitalization programs and projects that member states will undergo from now on, thanks to these resilience and recovery plans. So it's quite comprehensive, it's quite visual and interactive. Please go to the NIFO collection and you can download it and you can go through it. And last week, actually, we published the first progress report on the progress, indeed, of the Berlin Declaration. The Berlin Declaration is a political declaration on digital values covering 7 policy areas around digitalization. And it's the first year that, with the help of the German presidency and now the French presidency to the European Council, we have elaborated a methodology to monitor this declaration, and it's the first year we have the results. But the report is being complemented with best practices that we have spotted in most of the member states to just support these findings. So it's quite interesting. And what is coming soon is the publication of this year edition of the Digital Public Administration Fact Sheets, providing an update on different policies, programs, projects, and solutions related to digital public administration and interoperability. On what have been the webinars and the events that we have organized in NIFO, I give the floor to Allegra. You want to explain to us what we have done?
Yes, so it's not actually on this slide, but we, as Miguel said at the beginning, we had the first coffee talk back in November 2021, so it was a great success. It was very interesting. It was on a national catalog, and we had 2 great speakers from Belgium and from Spain. And then more recently, we had the, actually a couple of weeks ago, the EIF implementation webinar, where we presented the results of the 2021 edition of the EIF monitoring mechanism, and where we also had 3 great speakers in order to share good practices around the topic of interoperability governance. So that was very interesting. And if you want to have a look at what has been said during this event, you can go also on JoinUp, and you will have the slides and also the recording of the event. So feel free to have a look. And then the second event is the one of today, the second NIFO Coffee Talk. And here as well, just for your information, we are recording this event. So for those of you who maybe need to leave or want to review this later, we are also recording it, and you will be given all the information that we are sharing and talking about today. And then lastly, it's not an event, but as Miguel was saying, we will be publishing soon the Digital Public Administration Fact Sheets, and hopefully shortly after also the State of Play report, which gives an overview of the state of play of digital public administration and interoperability in Europe, with updates from the member states, but also we provide an overview of the EIF monitoring mechanism results. So yeah, it should be an interesting read. So stay tuned. And all of this can be found on the NIFO collection in JoinUp. So I think that's it from my side.
Okay, Elena, thanks a lot. And we go now to the speakers. Today we have the 3 speakers, as I announced. We have Portugal with Carla Marquez. Then we have Vicky Margariti from Greece and Matthias Ekhem from Sweden. And we go directly to the first speaker from Portugal. Bom dia, Carla. Muito obrigado. So basically, I will introduce Carla Marquez Pereira. He has a PhD and master's in computer science at the Technical University of Lisbon. She works in the Agency for the Administrative Modernization in Portugal, AMA. She's Director of Strategies and Digital Government. And previously, she was the Director of Information Systems at SPMS. She has more than 20 years of experience in IT projects in public and private sector. She's also an assistant professor at the European University in Lisbon, where she's teaching subjects related with enterprise architecture and business process design in computer science courses. Today, Carla will be explaining to us Portugal's experience with the EIF from its beginning and to the future. I hope I didn't forget anything. So Carla, please, the floor is yours, and thanks a lot for your time and your contribution.
Okay, thank you. On behalf of Administrative Modernization Agency, I'd like to thank you, NIFO team, for the invitation. And during the presentation, I will refer to AMA in Portuguese, like you said. So like you said in the introduction, and you can go in the slides, our perspective here is to present the journey that AMA has been taking in the interoperability and using the EIF framework. So we start to the beginning, and then we're gonna present the evaluation of the results that we have in 2019 and 2021. And then we present some challenge that we have in the we will have in the future. So you can go, please. Next. The journey that we have here, starting in 1999, and the main step for the interoperability was in 2007, when we launched the platform, the interoperability platform that we call IAP, Interoperability for Administration of Public Administration in English. And that is related with the citizen card in Portugal, the launch of the citizen card also. From that on, we have several important points, but the base was the launch of the platform. Can you move to the next slide, please? And this platform basically, at that time, the vision behind was to place the citizen companies in the center of the modern and innovative public administration, and basically is a platform that is service oriented and provide service and data that enable the transaction between different entities in public administration. It aggregates itself 4 types of service. Basically, the integration platform will concern only the service, the technical service that provide the integration. Then we have the authentication provider, a platform that realize payments and the gateway for SMS. Based on that, and you can move for the next one, please. We try to accommodate on the platform even though the platform is a technical platform, we try to accommodate the 4 layers of the European the framework: the legal, the organizational, the semantic, and the technical. And this is the concept. In the future, we try to put another layer, probably that will detail what is important to the semantic and the technical layer. Probably that will give more detail in the application level, but for now on we have the semantic and the technical, and in that point we have in the semantic all the data, all the data sets, all the that is related with the informational architecture, and with the technical layer we have all the systems and all the device that we need to interoperate. You can move the next one. Thank you. Here we can see some benefits. The main one related with the platform. The platform is independent in the use of the technology because it's based on open standards, and we can provide integrations to several different web services. And using the platform, we reduce the implementation time, and based on that, we can accelerate the process behind what we had in mind when we launched the platform. That is reduce the complexity and the bureaucracy related with some of the process in public administration. And also it's a secure platform for communicate different type of data and integrated different type of systems. We also use several service and data, and based on that we can accomplish the principle of only once, and some other principles that we are promoting using the interoperability and give the importance that is necessary through some strategical ICT documents that we have. You can move on, please. Here are a few numbers. These numbers can be consulted. They are directly posted online through the previous web address, that is eip.gov.pt. And in this dashboard, we can have a few numbers that show the importance that a platform with these characteristics has in public administration. Most of the transactions are made through the platform, more or less 35 million per month, and SMS also, and the number actually that we have, the data sets that we have available through 107 organizations. These are a few numbers. You can move, please. Can you? Okay. And from another side, these are also numbers, but they show us the savings that we had since 1907. That is the savings related with time, for instance, time that the citizens save with the digital services that are provided hand-to-hand in among different organizations, and they are transactional through the interoperability platform. And next, please. We also has a success story from an automated social energy tariff that won a United Nations Public Service Award in 2020. And the idea behind was to automatically provide a benefit to the citizen related with the with the energy, and proactively the government identified the citizen that is in condition to have that benefit, and give the attribution automatically without the intervention of the citizen. And you can go, if you are interested to see the case, you have the address in the link in this slide. And you can move, please, next one. Basically, this success story was to provide, as I said, a shared rationalization of transversal e-service. For doing that was necessary to do a background work in most of the cases, like probably other entities passed through the process of adopting the interoperability framework. We need to have the semantic and the normalization of the data to provide some kind of the service, and that was also the process. But basically, the idea was to put this service in a automated way and without the intervention of the citizen. And next, please. And then we go to the process and that can put Portugal, I don't know if it is in a good place, but I think we are not so bad. And we are going to present the results that we have comparing the assessment that was made in 2019 and 2021. And we stress here two principles that double the evaluation, that the principle 4 for usability and the principle 12 assessment of effectiveness and efficiency. And based on that, the recommendations that are behind these principles, and can you go to the next slide? And to do that, what have we done? Basically, to promote the reuse and share of the solutions in a transversal way, we implemented strategies that take into consideration the principles that are proposed on the EIF, and based on that, the strategy that is the current strategy for digital transformation of the public administration, that is from 21 to 26, and was published in September of 21, strengthens the Portuguese commitment to the provision of integrated, proactive, and seamless digital public service. And based on that, we have a structure that is called CETIC, that is a Council for Information, Technology, and Communication. And based on that committee, that is committing the council or the committee responsible for the promoting of this strategy through the public administration entities. And can you move, please, for the next one, please? Thank you. So also for the component that we had, oh, let me see. Can you go one previous, please? Thank you. Thank you. For the reuse also, we have encouraged the public entities to use the building blocks, or using an application program interface that is the interface for that building blocks that are provided for AMA, and that from that way we are promoting the use and the share of solutions. For example, the component that allows the authentication, the component that allows the identification, the component that allows the share of data through a central repository, like in the third bullet, the data.gov. That is a portal that aggregates, reference, and hosts open data from different entities. That was also what we have done to promote the reuse of and share information. And for that, we are using the recommendation number 7. And for that, we are increasing the principle number 4. Can you move for the next one? In terms of the
Carla, apologies for jumping in. Just as a reminder, we have 2 minutes left just to ensure that
I'm finished.
there is enough time for Q&A.
Okay, I'm finished. Sorry. For the last recommendation, as you could see in the previous slide, we have using techniques that evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency from the different interoperability solutions through the ROI and through the total cost and ownership. And we could see that on the previous two slides, I think. And the last one, we will be present some challenge. The necessity of having holistic governance through the interoperability, if it's local, regional, at a European level, or world, and that, in our perspective, especially in the illegal and semantic terms. The other one, in terms of challenge, is related, for instance, when we are working at European digital identity wallets, ethical issues that must be addressed if, for instance, we are using biometric data, and how can we deal with that? And very important in our perspective, as a report from Gartner said, how can we deal with the shortage of IT resource that we have right now in Europe? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla. It's very interesting and very impressive, all these achievements in Portugal. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm taking a question from Michael. Can you read the chat box, or maybe Michael, you want to interview?
I really didn't see so.
Okay, so maybe I could read it or tell it.
Okay.
For the interesting presentation. Nice to meet you, Carla.
Thank you.
In the beginning, you were presented as a lecturer on the enterprise architecture, among other things. Yeah. So do you utilize any type of enterprise architecture approach in the development of the interoperable electronic administration?
Yeah, we have, and thank you for the question, because that is my area of specialization. We have a program that is trying to implement enterprise architecture to the public sector. And in AMA in particular, we adopt the DOGA framework, and we have enterprise architecture tool that enable us to have the holistic view that is necessary from the perspective of the business to information, application, and technical view. So we adopt that, and for the notation, you use the Archimate provided by the open group. So we are very, very conscious of the importance of the enterprise architecture when you try to input our, even though we know the difficult that is to use this kind of technique, but we have that. Okay. And not in AMA, but in my previous job, we had also in health. In the health sector, we also use. So in Portugal, we have the conscience of using at the central, a public sector, the use of the enterprise architecture.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla. We don't have time for more questions. In any case, if in the audience someone would like to post any question, please do so, and then Carla will reply to you offline. The only comment, Carla, is this estimation on time saving and cost saving do you have a document or the methodology you use? Because for us, for my unit, this is very interesting. We are about to launch a new policy on interoperability, and sometimes we are struggling with this cost-benefit analysis. If you could share it with me.
Okay, particularly I don't have, but I can provide to them because that is with another team. So I will provide internally, and if you want, I can present the person that is responsible for the area and explain the rationale behind.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
So we jump to the next speaker. Do we have Vicky with us?
Yes, hello.
Calimera. Okay, I will introduce you, Vicky. Vicky Margariti. She's an experienced software engineer with a demonstrated history of working experience in the information technology and service industry, both in private and public sectors. She holds a bachelor degree in informatics, also a degree in automation engineering, and a master's degree in data communication systems. She's also a PhD candidate in the area of information systems interoperability at the Department of Informatics and Telematics at the Arokopio University of Athens. Now, Vicky works as head of e-government and interoperability unit at the Hellenic Ministry of Digital Governance, and she's the national representative at the European Interoperability Expert Group, and here, the NIFO, the National Interoperability Framework Observatory. She's also the coordinator of the working group for the European project GLASS under Horizon 2020 on behalf of her ministry. And additionally, she works as a lecturer at the National Center of Administration and Local Government around e-government and interoperability issues. So Margariti will be presenting us also Greece's way of fostering interoperability through the use of the EIF. And it will be followed again by a question and answer session. So Margarita, please, Vicky, sorry, the floor is yours, and Kalimera.
Okay, Kalimera. I want to thank you for the invitation to participate in NIFO Coffee Talks and to present EIF implementation for our country. Mrs. Balou, the head of Directorate, is here with me, and I would like to thank her, as well Mr. Stasis, the General Director, for their valuable contribution to this presentation. Here in Greece, we have soon realized the added value of European Interoperability Framework. This is why we have encompassed in our new national digital strategy the vision of EIF in terms of principles and recommendations in order to foster digital transformation. As you can see from the slide, we have incorporated guidelines such as usability of services, user-centric design of services, inclusion, interoperable services by design. Please go further. Administrative simplification of procedures. We have fostered agile models on design and implementation, transparency, openness, cross-border digital services, and reliability and trusted digital services. These are basic principles to foster digital transformation in 6 basic axes: connectivity, digital skills, digital business, digital innovation, integration of technology, and digital government as well. Please go further. Interoperability is a key factor for the digital transformation in Greece. Our primary goal is to accomplish achievement of interoperability at all 4 levels: technical, semantic, organizational, and the legal one. Please. This is why we have decided to go further with our national interoperability framework. At this moment, there is an ongoing project for the update of our national interoperability framework in order to align it with the latest version of European Interoperability Framework and to incorporate basic guidelines from the upcoming interoperability strategy. For the first time, it will be accompanied by a governance model and an implementation guide in order to pave the way for alignment at all dimensions, to foster interoperability at sectorial level, which is very important for us, apart from the horizontal one. And it is also expected to contribute significantly to ICT project procurement and evaluation. It is very important for us to ensure interoperability in our big ICT projects. This is a representative roadmap to foster interoperability layers in Greece. There are 3 basic steps: the establishment of new structures to become the basic pillars of digital governance, the introduction of new legislation encompassing all aspects of digital governance, and the 3rd step was the implementation of flagship projects towards integrated digital services. In the following table, we have concentrated the KPIs that gave us high score in the scoreboard 2 regarding interoperability layers of interoperability governance, integrated public service governance, and organizational interoperability. As you can see, areas in which we have achieved high scores address concerns such as user centricity, simplification of administrative procedures, interoperability governance, the introduction of governance structures to foster interoperability in a more effective way, modeling and the standardization of administrative processes, and interoperability agreements between the Ministry of Digital Governance and other governmental bodies and authorities in the Greek sector. In the following slides, you will see in a more detailed way corresponding actions and initiatives and projects that have been connected with these high score KPIs, and in terms of legislation, in terms of projects, and in terms of structures, the establishment of new structures. The first big step was the establishment of Hellenic Ministry of Digital Governance in 2019. For the first time, we have a new entity which brought together for the first time under a unique centralized infrastructure all the information technology, telecommunication authorities and bodies related to the provision of digital services. This for us was very important because we managed to have a common and effective framework for citizens and businesses to realize the vision of digital single market. And this facilitated and accelerated the alignment of processes and roles between government bodies so as to go further with our digital transformation. The basic mission of the new entity of Hellenic Ministry of Digital Governance is to serve as the main government body responsible for the digital transformation, to support all relative authorities and government bodies in their digital journey, giving guidelines at an horizontal way of governance, and is the driving force behind the reshaping of the government's digital landscape of public services. A very representative project for us fostering interoperability is the National Program for Process Simplification. This is implemented under the supervision of the Prime Minister, and it intends to implement procedural engineering and offer simplification for the public sector, aiming at reducing administrative burden and bureaucracy. An implementation for which we're very proud of is the Single Digital Gateway, gov.gr. Is the new single digital portal of Greek public administration for citizens, first publicly launched in March 2020, with more than 500 already developed digital services gathered in a unique point of a single contact. At this moment, Government's Digital Home hosts over 1,400 user-centric trusted digital services, and this is an accomplishment in 2 years. It has been developed in an agile user-centric design approach, and for its effective and better coordination, there has been a new structure established in 2020 under specific law to facilitate the coordination of 19 ministries, 72 public authorities, 9 independent authorities, and 13 prefectures. All these are constantly collaborating together to provide to citizens and businesses transparent, citizen-centric digital services without physical appearance. And another representative implementation and very important initiative for us going further with our digital transformation is the Interoperability Center. Based excuse me, connection problem. Based on Article 48 of Law 4623 of the year 2019, it became the only electronic platform for interoperability data exchange between governmental entities and serves as solution provider to facilitate the provision of digital services at local, national, and international level. It facilitates the interconnection of base registries, and it concentrates the management of all web services in the Greek sector. A very important implementation, a big project for us here in Greece, giving us high score in the area of simplification of processes, modeling of processes, and standardization of processes, is the National Registry of Procedures, now namely MITOS. It has been established by Article 90 of Law 4727 in the year 2020, and it aims at recording, mapping, modeling, and standardizing all administrative procedures. At this moment, it hosts 1,242 procedures from 4,786 government bodies and 730 registries. To conclude my presentation, as far as it concerns lessons learned by using a European Interoperability Framework in fostering interoperability in Greece, what is important for us is that we have accomplished the use of single points of reference across public administration, all legal provisions concerning digital transformation under one law, all public administrative procedures under one portal, all web services for accessing public registries and composing integrated digital services under a unified infrastructure, all digital public services to citizens and companies in one portal. Furthermore, we have achieved the formalization of agreements between public administrations and governmental bodies and interoperability agreements. So we have managed to encompass recommendation 20 and 21 As well, a recommendation regarding interoperability governance for a holistic governance of all interoperability activities. Recommendation 25 and 26 to ensure interoperability governance and coordination by putting new structures in place and by establishing interoperability agreements. And last but not least, recommendation 28 and 29, clarifying and formalizing organizational relationships and accomplishing the documentation of procedures. Okay, Mrs. Balou wants to contribute with a valuable comment.
A very quick comment, if I'm allowed.
Yes, please, but very quick because we don't have a lot of time.
Yes. Good morning to everybody. I would just like to stress that all this effort under the new ministry started at the beginning of the pandemic. So this worked as a catalyst for the acceleration of the pace at which everything happened, because the demand for digital services was extremely high, and everything was set up very quickly. Especially the GovGR portal was set up at record time. Okay, that's the remark I wanted to make.
Thank you very much. Very important remark, and we appreciate very much this very interesting presentation. Give us an overview on the impressive achievements in Greece. I would say that this streamlined governance, I guess, has been challenging, but you have now a much better governance as in the past. All the best. Also, the update of the national framework to make it more aligned to the EIF. That's very important. And it's quite impressive that you managed in such a short time, 2 years, to put all the administrative procedures touching the single digital gateway regulation in one portal. Very quickly, we have a question from Mikhail. You presented the program.
I have already.
Just for the audience to understand the question, you presented the program for administrative process simplification, how the Greek Ministry of Digital Affairs could enforce process simplification in other ministries and public administration bodies.
Okay, the program of for process simplification is under a specific horizontal law. It does not concern only the Hellenic Ministry of Digital Governance, which is an entity concentrated under one umbrella in terms of legal and infrastructure issues. So this specific law has enforced the simplification and the modeling of processes in order to be hosted in the National Registry of Procedures, MITOS.
Could I add that it's a single point of reference for the whole of public administration? For the whole of public administration, and so every service has to refer to this portal, and every this project lasted 2 years, and every organization that offers some kind of service has we have given roles to all organizations, how to register their procedures and how to review and update them. So each organization is responsible to update their services, but the project of simplifying the procedures has lasted 2 years, and of course dynamic, and will be updated as the time goes on, and as more interoperabilities are set in place, the more simplification of the procedures will be achieved.
Thank you very much indeed. This administrative simplification and also the overarching piece of legislation is quite interesting, and it's a kind of source of inspiration for other countries. Very, very quickly, if you can answer also, the two of you, this question by John. It's challenging to make all these different agencies and ministries to work together in an agile manner. How do you manage to achieve this? But please, very briefly.
Okay, the agile approach was in the implementation part of, was not so much in the process way, but in the implementation one. And the success was that the Hellenic Ministry of Digital Governance has incorporated, apart from the very specific public agencies, other authorities very experienced in implementation in agile, with agile methodology, and all together we have managed to have this good result.
Very good, and congratulations. Thanks a lot. We keep in touch. Let's hope we can work with you in the future for approve the new Interoperable Europe Proof project with the Greek national framework. And now we go from the very south of Europe to the very north. We go with Matthias to Sweden. I will introduce Matthias very quickly. Matthias Ekhem has worked with the Swedish Agency of Digitalization since 2019, and he's responsible for the work with basic data. He's also responsible for the Swedish framework for digital collaboration, which is the national implementation of the European framework. And before he started at DIG, and he worked for 17 years at the Swedish Companies Registration Office, the last years as a business architect. Matthias will be explaining to us the digital infrastructure that is called ENA, and the frameworks for basic data, for interconnection of base registries and so on. So Matthias, God morgon, and the floor is yours, please.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction, Miguel, and thank you for invite. And also thank you to Portugal and Greece for the inspiring talks you gave on your side. Happy to be here and second NIFO coffee talk. I'm giving you a short intro to DIG, the Agency for Digital Government, and this is our vision. A sustainable welfare society that meets people's future needs. Digitalization of Sweden is necessary to create a sustainable welfare society that meets people's needs today and in the future. And this work must be intensified, and that is why DIG exists. And we have a mission we are an authority under the Ministry of Infrastructure, and our assignment is formulated in our instructions and in our regulation letter. We are also steered through direct government assignments where we can be given the task of investigating an issue or developing a special solution. But our instructions and the regulation letter and our government assignments all point to the same direction, to drive the digitalization of Sweden on our own and together with others. The instruction contain four clear overall points that clearly summarizes our mission. We coordinate and support the digitalization of public administration. We are responsible for Sweden's digital infrastructure. We follow up and analyze the digitalization of society, and we help the government to make well-informed decisions. And the next slide on the conceptual model of the EIF, as you know of. You've heard Greece and Portugal talking about the first and second scoreboard, and this connects to scoreboard 3, where Sweden has improved since DIG started, and the Ministry of Infrastructure at the same time in 2018. I'm going to most concentrate on the base registries. We perform quite well in many areas in scoreboard 3, but I will give you something about base registries and the basic data. And if you go to the next slide, we are some examples of how we work with management and coordination. And as Miguel mentioned, ENA, Sweden's digital infrastructure. ENA is a Swedish word meaning unify. We are responsible for ENA, which is the name of this infrastructure. And much of our work is about leading and coordinating, but we also develop some of our own components. On the next slide, you will see something more about ENA. So if you turn to the next, yes. Instead of each player is developing its own solutions in its own way, common components are developed that can be reused. And in ENA, solutions are gathered so that data can be handled and exchanged in between different players and actors in a secure and efficient way. For example, common solutions are developed for identification, messages, and agent handling. And they are all examples of parts of Sweden's digital infrastructure, ENA. For the components that are currently being developed within ENA, 12 authorities are responsible for a total of 14 building blocks, 5 basic data domains, and 6 areas of competence. We have already started producing results and will greatly benefit society in a number of areas. Development of digital services will be cheaper, more efficient, and will also be able to be developed faster and work across national borders. In public administration, lead times will be shortened and the overview will be better, while security for citizens will increase. Our analysis show that the use of a common digital infrastructure in 10 years can free up to 10 billion Swedish crowns for society. And on the next slide, this connects to the recommendation number 36 in the EIF. So that's one part of how we can use the EIF. If you switch to the next slide, in 2021 we came with our first version of framework for national basic data in the public administration. DIG is the owner of the framework, but it was developed together with the Swedish Tax Agency, the Swedish Companies Registration Office, Swedish Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration Authority, Swedish Civil Contingencies Agency, Swedish Transport Administration, and the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency. And we are now, at this moment, currently working with a new version of the framework. And there on the website, you can see Swedish explanation of this work. And if you move to the next slide, this connects to the, we are letting the EIF and this national interoperability framework steer us, and this connects to the recommendation number 37. If you move to the next slide, these are the few parts of the framework: main document and an appendix on information architecture, appendix on processes, and appendix on roles. The appendix on information architecture is much inspired by the Danish work with the basic data, and we have rules on modeling information and concept modeling and different handling rules. We see that this connects to 2 of the recommendations, 38 and 40. If you move to the next slide on basic data domains, a basic data domain is an area of national basic data that is connected with each other. For example, person, company, cadastral, and geographical information. The Swedish Tax Agency is responsible for the population register and is responsible for the basic data domain person. Swedish Companies Registration Office is responsible for registration matters that apply to limited companies, among others. They are responsible for the basic data domain in companies. And then the Swedish Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration Authority, which is the state surveying authority, is responsible for the domain cadastral information. And then we are 2 areas that are being exploratory developing health and social care. The Swedish e-health agency is responsible for that, and the Swedish Transport Administration is responsible for a basic data domain for transport system. Exploratory development means that they may be a basic data, but it's not yet the case. And that connects to the, on the next slide, recommendation 39, that we, via the framework, ensures that this is done. The division into the basic data domains is our way to achieve this. And thank you. That I think that's my. Our next slide is some contact information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Matthias. Last presentation, but not least, very interesting initiative in Swedish on basic data. We know well the Danish basic data program that has been like a reference point for quite some years. I used to work in base registry project in ISO Square, and it was one of the sources of inspiration, let's say. Anybody would like to ask a question to Matthias on this project or take the floor? If not, Matthias, I have a question for you. You have Liana, and you presented that there are 12 responsible authorities. Could you elaborate better how this coordination and governance has been set up? If any challenges or things that still you are working on to improve?
Yes, we have like a steering organization within ENA with coordinating groups both on operational, tactic and strategic level. So on the strategic level, the Directorate-General from the different authorities meets 3 times a year. The tactical forum, it's develop a different resource owner sits and takes the different decisions that needed for this. So we have a structure for steering the infrastructure, and we have like in many other areas, we have a culture of common agreements. So this is done together, but with DIG in the lead.
Thank you very much. So let's say the technical infrastructure is fostered, obviously, with a strong governance, with a steering committee, bringing all the relevant parties together. As actually, it is one of the elements that we have depicted in the framework, the need of organizational interoperability to achieve, let's say, the setting up of infrastructures, data sharing between different entities, base registers, in the case, authoritative sources. So if there is not any other comment or remark, we close down your presentation, Matthias. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, to the other 2 speakers. And we conclude very briefly, Allegra, if we jump to the slide where we can ask a few questions to the audience. No, the next one. Please, you can contact offline to tell us in case you would like to express your views. If you have any recommendations for on topics, next editions, or even if you are a member state representative and you are working on an interesting project you consider is worth sharing with all of us, please contact us. Topics you would like to discuss in an upcoming coffee talk. And that's it for today. We are 4 minutes over time, so thanks a lot. And hope to see you soon, and all the best for this week and coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.